All right, so in this video, we're going to be looking at adding and checking out files. So the plugin allows you to work in two different ways. It allows you to either work automatically using the plugin, which is what the default is, or it allows you to work manually, depending on your preferred workflow. So what I mean by automatic is essentially that you just work in Houdini the way that you would. So for example, we go to the depot file here and we create a new file and we hit save. Then what we'll see is that the plugin will automatically mark this file that we have created for add. And what we can do here is we can either, depending on how many files it is trying to check out or add, we can enable or disable the files that we want or do not want to add. We can specify, that we want to create a new change list. And by, creating a new change list, we can, of course, add a description. So in here, we can, for example, say adding my first new file. And then we can simply hit add and it'll just save like that. Now, what we can also do is if, for example, we now save a new file and I'm just going to hit cancel for now, right? So that now this file is not yet marked for add. We can also go to the shelf here and hit the add/checkout. And that will also trigger this add or checkout dialog, which once again, we can find that change log that we just created before and add another file. So we can say add a new file. Okay, and what we'll have now is if we go to Perforce and go to the pending change list, we'll see that we have these two files here in this this change list, along with the description that we added in Houdini. Okay, and so how do you change the plugin to use the automatic workflow or the manual workflow? And what I mean by not using the automatic workflow is not triggering any of the pop-ups. Well, you can do that by going to the install location of the plugin and opening this JSON here that says P4 preferences. And once you open that, you'll see a couple of different things that you might recognize. First of all, is the plugin enabled or disabled? It's just a Boolean here. You can trigger or change this Boolean by pressing this button here. So if this is false or you've disabled it here, the plugin is never going to sort of prompt you with anything in general, right? So the manual methods might also not work. So this is, for example, if you work on a project where you want no perforce at all. You have the client root. So this is, for example, specifying where the depot root is of the repository. Do you want the perforce plugin to automatically connect with a server? Yes or no? And then, of course, what is the default name for the change list? So like you saw before, this is the name of that default change list that's going to be there for you. But the part that I really want to show in this video is the P4 updates. And what you see here is these four settings. So hip_add on save true, hip_checkout on save true, hip update before load true, and HDA checkout on save true. And so when these are set to true, they're automatically going to trigger some events and callbacks as soon as you do something in Houdini. So in the case of adding, when we save a file, you can see that that's true here. So if we set this to false, we will no longer get Houdini asking us if we want to add this file to Perforce. The same goes, of course, with the hip_checkout on save. So whenever we already have a file on Perforce and we make changes to an already existing file that's not been checked out yet, then that's what this setting modifies here. Okay. So that's all good there. So now we've seen how we can, use the manual method of adding a file. We've seen the automatic method, but there's a couple of other things that you can do. So I'm going to be showing you another way of adding files, which is a really convenient shelf menu or a right-click menu. So for example, if we have this sphere here and we add a geometry rob, just like that, and we're gonna just have it export like that. We're gonna hit save to disk. Now you've basically saved a piece of geometry to disk that's not being tracked by Perforce, right? Or at least not by default. I'll show you later how you can do it automatically as soon as you hit save on something like this. But for now, it has created this file, but it has not been added yet. So we've also added this convenient right-click menu where you can simply add or check out files that are specified in a parameter from within Houdini. So now we're going to add it to that same change list again, where we can say adding a sphere BGO from a rob. All right, super convenient. So now we know how we can do that on files like that. Now, there are, of course, other ways of adding files, and that is, of course, HDA. So let's say we create our HDA. We're just going to call this test HDA. This is all good. Then, of course, for the library path, we need to make sure that we're saving it to the Perforce depot. And then for the name, we're just going to say test HDA like that, and then just hit save. And you'll see that HDAs are also supported in terms of adding it to a change list. So we can say add HDA we created and hit add there. And then just hit accept, and you'll get the usual type properties pop up that you have added before. Now, once again, once you have saved all your files, or you want to check out an existing HDA, once again, you can also do that here using the right-click menu. In this case, it's not going to do anything because we just already added it. But in the case that it's a new file that has not been added yet, or a file that already exists that you'd like to check out, then you can use the right-click menu for that. And that's all the different methods of adding or checking out files that are there for now. If you have more, please send us a request.